Welcome to this EON Metaverse Builder webinar. Today we're going to talk about jobs, education, and value proposition of the metaverse. And we think that's really important. Metaverse Builder was built to make it easy for anyone to create their own knowledge metaverse. And as we look at the overall market, that's going to have a big impact. And what I would like to start with, introduce myself. My name is Mats Johansson. I'm president and co-founder of EON Reality, based in Irvine, California, at our headquarters. And I work kind of equally with our global customer success team, as well as with business development. Over to you, Malia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Malia Kamran. I am a business development associate at EON Reality based in Toledo, Ohio. I was previously a business development intern, actually, at EON over the summer last year. So my educational background is in science and business, while my work experience has been centered on business development in the edtech space. At EON Reality, I get the opportunity to cultivate my passion for providing affordable and accessible edtech solutions to students around the world.
Great. Thank you, Malia. And I think that introduction for Malia is quite appropriate. She's done a little bit of this metaverse journey that a lot of, I think, students coming out of the university joining the workforce will do in the years to come. And let's take a little high-level picture on the jobs of the metaverse. This is from a study called Building the Metaverse by John Radoff. And I'll relate this to the Knowledge Metaverse in a second here. But we, of course, have the creators. That's usually what we think mostly about when we think about the metaverse, who's going to program it, create it, etc. But we'll see, artists, dialogue writers, a lot of different types of content and assets. And this is, of course, where EON's focus is to enable a creator not having to be for instance, a 3D modeling expert, but it could be the history professor that knows his or her discipline, not necessarily how to make 3D assets. We have the community with the evangelists, marketers, etc. We have the builders. So here you have the game designers, world builders, producers, etc. You have the participants, whether it's play to earn, Taoist, customers, guild leaders, traders, speculators, modders. There's some new terminology here that you can look up, but we'll see this a lot more, I think. You have bridgers, so this could be your historians, digital twin, connecting back to the physical world, which we're big on as well, even with some of our products. And then you have the performers, your actors, streamers, VTubers, whatever they're going to be called at the end of the day. And if we look at what EON is specifically doing, which is around the knowledge metaverse, there will be, if you look at builders, for instance, there'll be students, faculty, and developers. If you look at creators, students, faculty, developers, so your history professor that I mentioned. Participants, so this would be students and trainees. We are, of course, equally focused on education as well as enterprise, as you'll see both there. Bridgers, so here we would see students, faculty, and trainers, we think mostly. Performers, so this will be your faculty and trainers that are educating. And community, of course, here you'll see government, Department of Education, I think also enterprise, actually. So this is a very high-level view, but I think it's good to kind of start there as you think about this strategically. Now, I wanted to touch briefly on a little bit around education. Education is a big part of what we do, but I think this also transcribes to enterprise. And I like this. This is from the World Economic Forum a year or so ago. And it talks about the Education 4.0 framework, schools of the future. So on the left here, you have your different major content, built-in mechanisms for skills and adaptation. And what they highlighted here was, for instance, global citizenship skills, basically to allow students to participate in the global community. Innovation and creativity skills, we know how important that is today. Technology skills, you have to have your basics. And one of my favorites, interpersonal skills. This is something that we maybe are not, at least when I went to school, we were not as good on this in the education, but I think it's getting there. On the right side, you have the experiences. So how do you take in, these important pieces of content? And one, of course, is personalized, self-paced learning. Accessible and inclusive learning, it should be for everyone. And in fact, we worked a lot with our US customers in education, improving accessibility with basic things like captions, but also things like sign language with avatars, etc. So there's a lot of opportunity here. Problem-based and collaborative learning is a key one. We know that working collaboratively is what you do in the real world, so that has to happen. Lifelong and student-driven learning. So this is not just something for school, but it's something that applies for a lifetime. And when we look at this from EON side, we really feel that XR is the bridge here that really connects in this Education 4.0 framework in an excellent way. So with that, I'll hand over to Malia to talk a little bit about the benefits of AR and VR.
So there are 7 overarching benefits of augmented reality in education. The first is student engagement and interest. So student interest skyrockets with the opportunity to engage in creating educational content. AR tech allows students to do various things like add to curriculum content, create virtual worlds, and explore new interests. The second benefit is learning environment. So classes that incorporate AR can help students become a lot more involved, and an interactive learning environment provides students with opportunities to implement hands-on learning approaches that can increase engagement, it can enhance the learning experience, and can get students to learn and practice new skills. So the third benefit is content understanding. So a lack of quality content focused on education, rather than entertainment, it's a noted concern among teachers hesitant to use augmented reality in education. The thing is, though, existing AR tech enables teachers to create very immersive educational experiences on their own to help ensure that their students understand curriculum content. So the fourth benefit is collaboration. As AR content is digital, it's also easily shared. For example, a group of teachers, they can work with their students to continually refine the content. And a collaborative learning environment provides students with increased motivation to learn because they're actively engaged in the educational content creation process. The fifth benefit is memory. AR is an absolutely excellent tool for bringing lessons to life and helping students remember very essential details. So, for example, instead of just presenting photographs on a projector, just showcasing life in, let's say, colonial America, a teacher can use AR tech to create very memorable interactive stories. So the sixth benefit is sensory development. AR tech can help teachers create lesson plans with multi-sensory experiences. So students benefit from immersive virtual content that incorporates an experiential learning style in which students carry out physical activities instead of just purely watching a demonstration. So this approach can really help with sensory development. And the last benefit is cost effectiveness. The cost of AR equipment it's often cited as a barrier to adoption. However, as smartphone use continues to rise among young Americans, and since smartphones are already equipped with the hardware needed to run AR apps, augmented reality in education is increasingly more cost-effective to implement. And additionally, AR can lower educational costs by replacing really expensive textbooks.
Great. Thanks, Malia. Just a quick question. You're a fairly recent graduate, if my memory serves correct, maybe early this year, right?
Mhm.
How would you see, looking back at your education, how would this have made things different if you had this as part of your curriculum and your education?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually a biology major, so I took a lot of health science courses. Now, primarily in those courses, we would be watching lectures or reading from a textbook. And if we had this tech implemented into the curriculum at my university, I think students would have been a lot more engaged. For example, manipulating a heart and seeing all the various parts of it is different than just reading about the heart. So, yeah, definitely. I think it would have created for a very immersive experience in the classroom.
Great.
So, there are 10 key benefits of VR in education. The first is global teleportation. So obviously, VR breaks down geographical boundaries. For school, this can be priceless, as it means that students can virtually visit places that are beyond their means in the real world, whether that be on the other side of the world or even the moon. So the second benefit is the time machine effect. VR can be integrated in history classrooms to break down the very walls of time and allow students to experience the past firsthand. The third benefit is contextualized learning. So, to provide an example, you can learn about ancient Greece by, bringing a Greek statue into the classroom. But VR contextualizes the learning by allowing the student to actually view that statue in ancient Greece. The fourth benefit is multisensory experiences. So, being able to move within a virtual space and engage with elements engages learners like never before. For example, manipulating a fossil while learning about it just completely elevates the learning experience. The fifth benefit is extraordinary abilities. You can lift a car above your head to view its engine, or you can use teleportation locomotion mechanics. VR allows you to break the laws of physics and in turn opens up new learning possibilities in the classroom. And it can also serve to streamline a task that would typically take a student a lot longer in the real world. So it allows more time for repetition or additional learning experiences. The sixth benefit is active autonomy. So, a student within a VR experience is the master of their journey with a great deal of autonomy in how they engage with the content. So, this starts with the simple fact that they're able to choose where to look and expands when you offer them experiences which are not on rails and allow them to explore very freely. The seventh benefit is an empathy agent. So VR can serve as an empathy agent as emotive responses to content helps to foster greater empathy for others. The eighth benefit is virtual rehearsal. So using VR to practice and hone skills without, a fear of failure, it's incredibly powerful and it can help students build confidence in new areas of learning. The ninth benefit is a remote presence. So students can use VR to connect with other students as well as attend lectures and lessons delivered by educators across the world. And with VR comes this concept of the school basically being able to morph into something very new and exciting. And the 10th benefit is focused immersion. So, the very nature of VR means that the learner is less prone to distractions in their physical surroundings. And for some students, this can be very beneficial as they may be prone to distraction leading to a loss of focus and ultimately a loss of learning. So the immersive nature of VR means that learners are literally engulfed with learning and thus in turn this is a key factor in the retention of information.
Okay, thank you very much, Malia, for that introduction. We thought it would be good to take a step back and really kind of drill down on all the benefits in the metaverse, which encompass both AR, augmented reality, and VR, virtual reality. And there's no doubt that if you can harbor just a few of these benefits, that it will change things as you do business. And of course, there are other organizations that have studied this in detail. Here I have a couple of references from PricewaterhouseCoopers, from the VR adventure, how VR is defining training. So let's see what they have to say a little bit too. So there's a lot more. If you're interested to read more, you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to share these findings. So let's talk a little bit about how EON and our partners are creating the global Knowledge Metaverse, which, by the way, we've been working in the virtual reality, augmented reality arena for a little bit over 20 years. And so this is not something new to us. It's something we've been doing for a long time. And our overall mission is to help students, teachers, and workers by implementing Knowledge Metaverse. And we divide this into 3 buckets: learn, train and perform, certify and collaborate. So this kind of ties back a little bit to some of the benefits that Malia talked about. And if you look at our focus overall, we are primarily focused on what we call TVET, technical vocational education and training, or career technical education, as well as higher education, so universities, research, etc. But we're starting to see a lot of traction also in K-12, as a lot of middle school up to high school teachers realize the benefits of AR and VR. And as a company, we embarked on the SelfService Platform. I'll talk a little bit about our platform here in a second, but we launched this in 2019. This was after about 18 plus years in VR and AR, and I think up to that point, when we did mostly custom development, we had developed, somewhere around 1,000 applications. Once we put these tools, self-service tools, in the hands of our subject matter experts, so for instance, a history professor that I mentioned before, by 2021, the community had developed 46,000 applications. And I know at this point in time, it's approaching 70,000 applications developed. So the acceleration of experiences, which ultimately are these Knowledge Metaverse experiences, is tremendous to see. And I think we'll see a lot more development there in the coming years. So I think that's just one user talking a little bit about what they do, Dr. Langen from Baker College. If you want to see more, there's a lot more on our website, eonreality.com. But Dr. Langen mentioned some things there, and criminal justice, for instance, healthcare. The one thing that we've seen in the last, especially the last 2 years, I think, is that it's a lot broader use within different programs. We're starting to see a lot of soft skills coming up as well. So it's not just hard skills, engine mechanics or the like that it used to be a few years ago. It's really broad in all kinds of curriculum today. So at EON, we provide 4 solutions, 1 platform. We're going to focus, of course, a little bit more on the Metaverse Builder, our most recent edition. But just to put it in context, so EON XR, this is a code-free XR creation where you go from a physical concept to the digital world and consume it either in AR, VR, or on your screen. This is the first part of the platform, launched in 2019. And then in 2021, we came out with Merged XR, where you go from digital to physical, utilizing digital twin concept. So now you enhance the physical world with information. It could be a lab, or it could be a real object in the world, or historical object, etc. And this uses standard equipment, so you can do all of this on a mobile phone. Spatial meetings, so this has become more and more important, and here we've done some major upgrades, improving avatars, lip sync, more realistic movements, etc. So you can have this full metaverse experience. A lot of people think about the metaverse as having to wear a headset, whether it's a Oculus Quest or a Magic Leap or a HoloLens. And of course, that's wonderful if you happen to be the privileged group that have those. But all of our platform you can also experience on your mobile phone, your tablet, your PC, or Mac. So it doesn't rely just on the headset. You pick the platform you want to work on. And then, of course, Metaverse Builder. Build your own metaverse. Basically, it uses a concept of walking and talking to create. There's no programming or anything like that. You can work with multiple objects or environments. You can do things like 3D assessment with avatar guidance. And really, it breaks down the barriers for creating the metaverse. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Now, there are some fundamental problems if you look at kind of basic creation. Game engines are notoriously difficult to use. You have to be a programmer or have experience in that realm. And XR devices are not widely available. They will become available when you think about headsets, but they are pretty limited today. They talk about maybe 20-25 million VR headsets in the world, and many billions of mobile devices. So that's why that's important. So EON XR is easy, code-free to create XR experiences and basically consume it on any type of device. Then we'll go to EON Merged XR. And if you look at kind of one fundamental problem with VR is unhealthy escapism rather than exploring, collaborating in the real world and learning. And this is wonderful because Merged XR connects back to the real world. So here we see one example where the user here has scanned this airplane engine at a museum, and then added knowledge points. You can also add knowledge portals to this, and very quickly create this digital twin. And you don't need anything else than your mobile device to do this. So it's quite accessible, easy to do. And then you have to the problem of you can't always learn alone. We saw that in the education framework. Collaboration is one of the 4 cornerstones, kind of. So you have to have that as part of any XR solution. So that's why we launched spatial meetings, where you can meet with multiple people. You can have a teacher-led session, a student-led session, or a group session. And just like with anything else on the platform, if you have your headset, great. If you don't, you can participate on your mobile device or phone, etc. And teleport, like Malia talked to any place in time or space. Finally, and we'll look a little bit more in detail on this, we have the Metaverse Builder. And no doubt about it, you can ask anyone that tried to build their own metaverse. It hasn't been easy up to this point. It can be very time consuming, programming dependent. You have to think about all the devices, different software platforms, Android, iOS, Mac, Windows. And you realize that quickly this becomes very, very difficult. So Metaverse Builder was launched about a month ago at our EON Experience Fest in June to basically remove this barrier. And let's take a look here about the walk and talk approach. Okay, so all of these experiences that flashed by here were created basically by walking and talking using a mobile device in most cases. And you'll see here in the window below that basically using your voice, you can select an object. So here the users select their classroom. You can then, with your voice and AI, so if you're seeing something in the real world, you can take a picture and that AI guide you on what this is, and then select in libraries consisting of millions and millions of different assets. So almost anything you can imagine, you can find there. If you can't find it, you can still use your phone to scan something, or you can, of course, build something yourself if necessary. So this is a big revolution in terms of creation and building and making it very simple and quick to develop. And all of our customers during the launch here for the first time period have access to Metaverse Builder. If you would like to learn more or do a little hands-on session, our CSD team is ready to help you with that. And we also have a special upgrade offer for all of our existing customers, where you can add this to your tools at a very favorable price. So if you're interested in that, reach out to your sales representative and we'll help you with that. Okay, so that's a little bit about the platform and what we do. I also wanted to talk a little bit about something that this is mostly for our educators. We launched something earlier this year called the EON Metaverse Academy. And this is born out of something that we've been doing for a long time. It used to be called the VR Innovation Academy. And we've transferred this now to the EON Metaverse Academy. And it's an online curriculum available to all of our partners, all our grant partners. And what you can do with this is basically allow your students and staff of your organization to participate in this. It's a much more in-depth education training program around the metaverse. It's not just the developers, it's also the marketeers, the business side, etc. You don't need any special skills for this, so don't let that turn you off. It's accessible for anyone. And we also provide a modular structure to allow participants from different domains, backgrounds, etc. The program is 100% online. It's self-directed, uses an LMS, so very simple to participate. There is a theoretical phase, the first phase, and you'll do assessments and get graded and certified. There is an optional project-based learning, and this is maybe the most valuable. So this is a little bit like an internship program, like Malia mentioned, coming in on the business side, working with a mentor in a project-based learning. It doesn't have to be business. It could be programming, customer success, etc. And of course, you get a certificate once this is done. This is a little bit the structure. I won't go into too much details, but as an introductory, there's a vocational where you specialize. So if you are more of a business person, you will specialize in this area. If you're more of a developer, you specialize in this area. And then you have your project-based learning optional phase that I mentioned. We talked about the curriculum a little bit. There's multiple sub-courses and modules, so you can also customize this a little bit, depending on time commitment you want, etc. Duration. So if you look at the first little bit more theoretical phase, it currently runs at 8 weeks. So it's a big commitment, but it's also a really deep dive into this area. And then phase 2, roughly 12 weeks if you go into that phase, which is optional. Training materials is based on video slides, learning activities, demo experiences in XR using the EON XR platform, text reference literature, and of course cross-linked content. Assessment, so you basically do a simple task, reports, content creation. You submit all of this via the LMS and get grading from our experts. And there's also a possibility for online discussions and feedback. Certification, so at the end of each cohort for your institution, we will do this. And you can also, of course, cross-link this with your existing certifications if that's of interest, and this can happen over time. You'll get a certification, including badges that you can share and reference. So this is a team that's behind the Metaverse Academy. So this is our leadership team from customer success. And with that, this webinar has concluded. Thank you very much for joining. And Malia, thank you for joining me in the presentation.
Yes, of course.